Give into the excess and join She Who Thirsts Eternal Champion as we talk about the book Lucius, and we make a lore-accurate army based off of it. This lore-accurate army is going to be a lot of fun. I'm not a huge Emperor's Children fan, but it was actually a pretty good read. Slaanesh is definitely not my god of choice, but bringing this one to the tabletop was more interesting than I thought it was going to be. And I learned a lot about Slaanesh that made me actually a little bit more intrigued about She Who Thirsts and all of the different aspects of what Slaanesh really is. So let's break down this list, talk about the modern Emperor's Children and the book Lucius. So by the time we hit modern 40k, the Emperor's Children have pretty much fallen apart. They've broken into different cohorts and different branches, some following Fabius Bile, some following Lucius, some off doing their own thing, some have joined the Black Legion. But the Emperor's Children all still have mostly one thing in common. They almost all serve Slaanesh and are very driven by their different types of excesses and trying to feel the deeper emotional connections to anything and everything around them. This leads to very interesting clashes and different things we'll see in this story that really show us what Lucius is like now versus what he was like during the Horus Heresy. And that difference and imbalance is something that I really enjoyed. He's a very intriguing character in everything he does, and watching how his gifts from Slaanesh have shifted him really is intriguing to see how he's changed his fighting style and how he goes about everything he does. It's also interesting to see the level of depravity and disunion that the followers of Slaanesh really have. And because they're all chasing their own selfish aspects and journeys, it's created a discord that causes issues for them. So being able to field that on the tabletop should be pretty interesting. So now we've talked about that a little bit. I would definitely recommend reading Lucius if you're an Emperor's Children fan. It is definitely a staple. I know a lot of Emperor's Children fans will also suggest Fabius Bile. I did not include him in this because he's not really a member of the Emperor's Children in 40k. He's off doing his own thing, running around with Drukhari and the Black Legion and everyone except for his own home legion. So let's dive into this, talk about the list, and get you guys on the tabletop if you're an Emperor's Children player. Hey everybody, today's video is brought to you by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink company that does a lot of really cool stuff. I'm not a huge energy drink person, but I've come around to these guys. They sent me this cool limited edition flavor that I've really enjoyed so far, as well as a bunch of sampler packs, and my personal favorite, Dubby Hydro. Dubby Hydro is basically Gatorade on steroids without all of the bad chemicals mixed in there. It's been really great to experiment and try that out. And unlike a lot of the super artificial, nasty tasting energy drinks, in my opinion, not a huge fan of Monster or Red Bull, but this nice clean flavor that is very few ingredients. And if we look at, I don't know if you guys can see that there, there's maybe 10 ingredients total, and most of them are fruit extracts that keep you nice and healthy and give you the energy you need throughout your day. So go check them out at w.gg/wargamer or use the code word wargame in your checkout to get 10% off. There'll be a link down in the description below for the starter kit. You can also get other flavors there as well. I'm a huge fan of those, and I definitely would recommend it. So, because there's a new Emperor's Children range, I did get really excited initially to do this list. Although, I learned the hard way that Lucius was written before the new Emperor's Children range came out, and it actually includes units that you can't field anymore. So I had to improvise, and I think you'll be doing some proxying here as well. So first off, we obviously need Lucius the Eternal. He's the warlord of the army and staple of the entire story. Next, you're going to need a sorcerer. The sorcerer is also a major part of the story. And when you move into the infantry, you need Chaos Terminators, Flawless Blades, a lot of Flawless Blades, and Noise Marines. Those ones are going to be the ones you need no matter what. On top of that, you're going to need some Infractors and Tormentors. This is where the proxying is going to come in, because in the story, you have Raptors that make up some of the Tormentors. These Raptors are Lucius' strike team. There's 10 of them throughout the story. So I would be looking at replacing 1 to 2 units of those Tormentors with Raptors. Unfortunately, the rules don't allow that right now. So if you're watching this after the rules have changed and there's some version of jump units in the Emperor's Children, use them. As of August of 2025, that is not the case. So I would be proxying them. Unfortunately, you're going to have to just play them like Infractors or Tormentors. So that gets a little weird and it's going to be a little bit difficult, which is kind of sad, because the Raptors are actually some of the most Slaanesh units in the entire story. Their excess and thrill for battle and their desire to be able to fly in as fast and as hard as they can is very Slaanesh. They love to fight. They love the thrill of flying. They take pride in their ability to fly and to strike quickly from the air. That's where they take their pride. That's where they take their thrills and emotional highs from, is that flight and that unique fighting style, and how they can fly these unique patterns to lay a strike on somebody before they even realize they're hit. So it was a little sad to see that I couldn't actually bring that unit to the tabletop. So in the end, I had to go with 2 boxes of Infractors and 3 boxes of Tormentors. Like I said, I would be proxying at least one of those boxes with some Raptors and playing them that way. And if my opponent would just let me, I would literally just use the index card for the Raptors to fill them in and play them the way the lore accurate list wants them to be played. But on top of that, I do have 2 Chaos Land Raiders and a Chaos Rhino. These allow for movements and punches a little bit higher on that scale, so you can deal with some of the heavier units as well. So it's a pretty simple, clean list. There's not much to it. So let's go and talk about the cost and what that will look like to really bring them to the tabletop. So as you guys know, we typically do the 3 different costs. We do the retail cost, which is based off of Warhammer.com and Warhammer stores. This cost is a per box cost, meaning this is the absolute most you will be paying, period. Next, we do the value cost. Once again, still a per box cost, but this is going to be based off of Wargame Portal and Amazon. There are ways to save more money, but because things like combo boxes and combat patrols are limited purchase options, I did not include them in this cost. I do absolutely recommend them. They will save you more money beyond this. But for Chaos Armies, this one's actually not too bad. I found that Chaos Space Marines tend to be a lot less expensive than a lot of other armies we talk about. So let's talk about the retail total first. If I were to go buy this 1 box at a time from Warhammer.com or my local Warhammer store, it would run me about $981.50. So slightly better than that 2 points per dollar cost, which is fantastic and is actually pretty good value. It's not too bad. There's a couple different units you could add that would jack that price up a little bit, like if you wanted a Fulgrim, who is not part of the story, which is why he's not included in this list. But as of right now, with their limited range, there's only so much you can do anyways. Now, if you wanted to try and save a little bit of money and you wanted to go through Wargame Portal or Amazon, that would drop your price down to $845.17. So decent savings, saves you a little bit more money on an already fairly inexpensive army, to be fair. Honestly, the thing that's going to hurt you the most on these is the Chaos Land Raiders. So if you wanted to shift one or two of those to a Rhino, that would actually save you some decent money there as well. I wouldn't look at saving or shifting them point-wise to something else. The points that you get from the Land Raider, if you try to eat them up with Infractors or Tormentors, would jack that price way up. So I would stick with something similar to what we have on this list right now. We normally do a fluffy list for Space Marines, but because the Cohors Nasicae that Lucius commands looks absolutely nothing like 30k Emperor's Children, I decided it probably wouldn't make sense to do a fluffy list. I wouldn't be pulling from Horus Heresy for these guys. These guys are battered and bruised with scarred armor and flesh covering a lot of sections of their bodies. So they really don't make sense to pull from 30k into here. There's not much that would actually fit this story very well. So no fluffy total this time. So next, let's talk about how you're going to paint them to make them feel more appropriate. And we'll go from there. Okay, now that you have your army purchased and you're ready to go, let's talk about how you're going to paint them. Because the Emperor's Children, that is a little weird. The Emperor's Children, especially the Cohors Nasicae, do tend to lean into the purples if you're a true Emperor's Children Marine. If you're from the 3rd Legion initially, that's what you wear. But a lot of the Cohors Nasicae are actually fallen Marines. There's reference to a couple White Scars. There's a reference to, I believe, one Ultramarine as well in the story, as well as several other fallen members of different legions. So mixing in the whites and reds of the White Scars, maybe mixing in a blue of an Ultramarine, and swirling some colors together to make them still fit in, but maybe giving them that pinkish purple armor on the outside with a blue shoulder pad and a black shoulder pad to show that their army is very hodgepodge mixed and matched, while still representing some of where they came from, but while also representing that they serve She Who Thirsts, would be a really interesting aesthetic. So treating them kind of like you would Death Watch could be a lot of fun, because Lucius has pulled together literally anyone who is interested in fighting with him because he's such a skilled fighter. And a lot of people that would be pulled there, if you have a fallen Space Wolf, if you have White Scars that have fallen, if you have maybe Raven Guard that have fallen, you're going to see maybe some Imperial Fists and Ultramarines. You really could pull in a bunch of different legions into the Flawless Blades. It would be fun to do an Imperial Fist and the Flawless Blades. For that, Raptors going to eat Proxian. There's reference to a White Scar there, as well as, I believe, a Raven Guard. In the Terminators, there's also a reference to an Ultramarine there, briefly. So you could treat this almost like the Chaos version of Death Watch and give as many different legions, both Traitor and Loyalist, to spice things up. Throw an Iron Warrior in with the Terminators. Although, of the legions that would fall to Slaanesh, that's probably not one of the big ones. Maybe do a Black Legion unit or two. One of the Sorcerers could be technically a Thousand Sun, although the Sorcerer in the story is specifically 3rd Legion. He's one of the few that has fallen. He still serves Slaanesh heavily, but having that touch of Zeech in there could be interesting as well. So there's a lot of really cool things you can do paint job-wise to really bring this out. That the pinks and purples and blacks are your most common. There's also a lot of that polished or tarnished bronze color that is pretty there, as well as some gold. So you have a pretty broad palette you can work with. There's also reference to a few of them just having flamboyantly painted colors, so make it look tie-dye. You can have a lot of fun with an Emperor's Children army that way, and make them very colorful and very bright to fit their aesthetic while not getting too overwhelmed. So now that you have it painted, let's talk about the tactics you'll be using on the battlefield to bring them to life. Today's video is brought to you by me and my company, Tartary Press. This is the company that manages both my writing career and Readers of the Wargame. And we've got a couple big announcements. You might have actually heard last week that our website is up and running. And that's true. We also have some really cool merch on there. That's www.tylertartar.com. I'll have it pop up right here for you. And there you'll be able to get Readers of the Wargame merch, all of my books, and merch related to my books as well. So make sure you go check that out. But to make it even better, we also have the Readers of the Wargame Patreon that is available now. So you can go to the link in the description to the Patreon and check that out. We have some really cool tiers going with just a basic $2 tier where you get early access to each video. My goal is to have those early accesses come out on Friday, so you have the entire weekend to watch them before they go live for everyone else on Tuesday. We have a $5 tier where you get to vote on at least 2 of the episodes each month so that you can see what you want to see on this channel. And I'm super excited to have a lot more availability with you guys so that you can make those votes and choose and be more involved in this channel as well. We also have a $10 tier. This $10 tier includes everything from the first 2 tiers, but it also includes access to our community Discord and our community army. As you guys may remember from some of our posts and things like that on the channel, we've been building a custom army together using the polls. And I'm going to start naming units after you guys. At the $10 tier, it will be just a standard infantry unit, but there's a 4th tier. This one, honestly, if you guys want to do this, I appreciate it a lot. I don't expect it, but that one is the War Master tier. That tier is $100 a month, but you will be one of the main characters in the army. And on top of that, each quarter when I create a new shirt, you will get a copy. So make sure you guys go and check out that Patreon as well as our website to get really cool merch, access to my books, and on the Patreon, access to all the videos early, community discords, and things like that. And let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below or on Patreon so that we can make this even better for all of you. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, so now you've got everything painted and ready for combat, let's talk actual tactics. For the detachment, you're going to be using the Peerless Blade detachment. It's the one that fits Lucius the best and lets us use a lot of the flawless blades and gives us a lot of upfront combat in your face type fighting. That's exactly what you're going to want for the Cohors Nasicae. They are very melee focused. Think World Eaters, but instead of blind rage, they're using as much swordsmanship and style and flair as they can. So it's going to be slightly different, but you're going to play fairly similar. There's going to be more deceit and feinting. You're not just charging straight in. And in order to do this, you're going to have, I would probably leave some of the infractors behind to guard my backline while using the rhinos and land raiders to maneuver into position and outflank my opponents as much as I can. The Terminators will be working with the Sorcerer to do some board control in the center, but a lot of it's going to be done just quick, fast, and score as many points as you can while hitting the enemy from every angle possible. So it'll be a lot of fun to play, and I'd love to see this on a tabletop. I have yet to play Emperor's Children. I think a lot of people in my LGS and in my group that may have them are probably still painting them. They're a lot of work to do, and they've been a little slow to release. So if you didn't already have an existing Emperor's Children army, you're probably scrambling to slowly fill it out. But that's what I'm guessing on the tactics and what it would be like. Let me know in the comments below if you think that's something that would work and you'd enjoy. If not, if you have suggestions, please also let me know. Also, in the description, you'll be able to find the link to our sponsor, which is a major part of everything we do here, our link to the army list, the link to the actual cost spreadsheet as well, so you can see my totals and estimates there. And finally, the link to our Patreon, where you can join on the different tiers and either join our actual Legion that I'm going to be taking to a tournament here soon. Once I get it all painted and ready to go, you'll be able to get early access to videos, join our Discord, and all the fun stuff we have going there. So make sure you go check that out. And we also have merch. I'm not actually wearing any at the moment, but we do have a lot of really cool merch there that you can check out and join the Readers of Wargame family. And I will see you guys the next one.